Welcome everyone to another entry in the Hand That Feeds HQ's Review Advent Calendar 2021. And today I bring you a review of Esmeralda's Radiance. This is a song released in 2021, part of the Enlight Tribe franchise, that many of you may not even know what it is about. This is a franchise about rock music. It is produced by Movic, that produces as well Tsuki Pro and the Hanadol franchises, and it has a cast that not many people will actually be familiar with. Esmeralda is fronted by Junta Terashima, a voice actor that I love to bits, especially as a singer. This was a suggestion by V, and I hope you guys enjoy it, especially if it is your first listen, because this group is not really well known, and this song even less. So let's kick off these analyses. One thing I love about Esmeralda's music is that they are not afraid to go loud and hard. They are a rock band that is intrinsically aggressive, and their sound pretty much reflects that. They have a certain elegance going on, but their sound is always pretty big, pretty intense, and Radiance is a good example of that. It starts off pretty big and intense and will progress in a way that you may not be expecting, especially given that you just heard this intro. But this song is so good.
見えなくなった自分の世界を想像で補うことしかできなくて
There's a dreamy element to this song, especially noticeable in the piano work that is going on in the background. You also have strings going on far back on your left, and those two elements create a certain, I wouldn't say necessarily an epic sound, but they create a wide, almost imponent sound that really leaves a mark. You can tell that they have a certain importance within this franchise by the way their sound presents them. And then you have the drums that are pretty much contained to the snare and fast hi-hat transitions. Those are pretty much paradiddles going on in there, and those are really fast and sharp. You also have an intense bass line going on top and distant guitar riffs really in the background with plenty of effects on top. I would say reverb, as mainly a reverb going on in there to give that impression that the sound is coming from far away, and the way the guitars are being played have a certain melancholy going on that is unexpectedly found within this song. This shouldn't be a melancholic song, but those guitars certainly go that way, at least during the verses. There's something really different going on when you reach that chorus.
意味のわからないまま壊して救われた気になっていた閉じ込めて裏切られて行う
If you notice, those low dramatic notes on the piano make their entrance and completely replace those bright notes that were going on in the background. So you have an intensity in the drama in this song. The drums themselves also go that way, almost like they are marching towards the chorus. The guitars stop being in the spotlight and the bass drum, or the bass, goes to the same place as the bass drum. So you have the bass being heightened and the tension being heightened when you reach that chorus. But we're now in the pre-chorus. And so far, you've listened to Junta Terashima delivering a performance that is carrying a lot of emotion, is rounding those vowels, he is being dramatic intentionally because this song requires a dramatic performance, at least in the verses, and all of that together, and you have basically Esmeralda showing that they are not here to kid. They are really putting their all into this performance. This is something that has high stakes.
映す闇に飲まれて狂いそうな光をこの身に浴び涙もなく思うがら誘惑だけこぼれそうな痛みを抱えながら
What you just heard is Junta Terashima delivering a flawless crescendo with legato on top, and he does it so flawlessly, which is, well, for someone that is following his work with growth in the Tsuki Pro franchise, this is not a surprise for me. If it is your very first time coming across Junta Terashima, this will be a surprise for you, especially because he's not a voice actor that is not present in many anime series, nor does many work into the music or even games and the sort. But still, whenever you have Junta Terashima joining a 2D music project, you know for sure that he will deliver his utmost best, because this is a performance that not many people could pull off. It sounds easy, is not easy, and that part he's actually doing in the chorus is pretty long and goes for at least 2 or 3 repetitions with little time to take a breath. The song so far is pretty impressive, so you will be for sure, especially if you like rock music, you will be left wanting more. This is my kind of thing. This is a song that channels a lot Architects and Bring Me the Horizon, which is a good thing because I love my fair share of Brit rock or alternative rock bands from the UK, and these two are among the best for me, especially Architects. So you have a bit of that sound here. It is dramatic without being overbearing. The sound is dramatic without being too, I wouldn't say obviously dramatic. So you don't have the strings going full blast. They are accents. They are far in the background. The focus should be on those vocals and perhaps a bit on those drums because the drums are crazy. But mainly the focus should be on those vocals because Junta Terashima is doing things that you wouldn't even expect. Or well, if you're like me following him in growth, these would be to be expected, but still most of you will not or are not following him in the Tsuki Pro franchise, so you may not even be aware of that. But let's continue because this song gets even better. Fantastic long note. You have a bit of electronica going on in there. Once again, I see a lot of Architects and Bring Me the Horizon inspiring this sound. Of course, you could name any other rock band from the UK that is basically performing this same style of music to be an inspiration. So, this song has a really mellow verse. Then it has a really intense pre-chorus, an explosive chorus that is almost like you have been bottling some emotions in the verses and are only unleashing those in the chorus. It's really intense, it's really in your face with those emotions. It is as raw as you can get. And then you have this little intermission leading the way to the second verse. And things once again quiet a bit down, and you will notice how the strings now will come a bit forward, still will be in the back, but will come a little bit forward, and the piano will take once again another step forward, and you will be listening to those elements once again with a bit more focus on them. Still, you should be paying attention mostly to the vocals and the drums, because those two are telling the story that you need to understand in this song. Of course, if you want to know the story, if not, let's geek about everything that is going on in this song, because there's a lot going on in this song and plenty of fun things going on with all the instruments that are associated or playing in this song. Those strings coming really high at you while the drums are going for the toms. Those drums are playing in the bassier elements within a drum kit. Those are really intense, give a sense of scale once again, because you have a wide scale behind you. The soundscape is really wide with those strings and that piano playing in the background, so you have a really wide soundscape. And you need to have or to add some dimension to it beyond the fact that you know that this is a far and wide soundscape. You need something to at least size it a bit down to match the band and make it so that you can really take in everything that is going on and don't get lost within the sound. So you have the drums playing on those toms to contain the sound and size it to something more manageable for someone listening to the song for the very first time. The bass line is really violent. I'm not necessarily saying that it is really going for those violent melodies or anything of the sort. I'm saying that the bass line is going really low. And when it goes low, it is going violent. That's the true violence on a bass. It's when you go for those low notes. You're not necessarily being aggressive because of speed, you're being aggressive because of the tone, and you are playing a melody really low. It is a good contrast to the piano, of course, and the strings, because the strings are really going high, really going high with that violin, and the piano is really playing on those tender high notes, and will of course later on shift to those dark low ones, those dramatic notes within the 0 and 2 scales. So that's as low as you can get there on the piano. Of course, that's when you get to the pre-chorus, but now you are playing almost in the 3 to 4 and 5 range within the piano, so you are playing those slightly mellower, slightly brighter notes. They can have a lot of emotion as well, depending on the chords and the melodies you want to actually play there. And that's exactly what is happening in this section. You have those notes being really dramatic, a bit fickle. There's some gentleness going on in that piano that once again contrasts with how aggressive is the bass line. And now you are in the bridge, so you will have something a bit different within the song. So the franchise was trying a bit with the second CD released this year by each band within its franchise, of course, to bring in more vocals to the spotlight. I'm of the opinion that I prefer the bands to be fronted by one person and the rest of the voice actors can participate in the drama CDs, but they tried something different with these, and this song actually brings in the other members of the cast and of course that are voicing the other members within the band. And those are Yusuke Nagano, Kento Hama, and let me check my notes, Shohei Komatsu. So you're talking about Kento Hama on guitar, Shohei Komatsu on drums, and Yusuke Nagano on bass. As it seems, the band will be playing live for the event they are going to hold this December, or have held this December. So in this part you will have those backing vocals with Yusuke Nagano, Kento Hama, and Shohei Komatsu that are adding a certain drama and epic dimension to this song. In a way, it adds that dimension. And they help provide the stage for Junta Terashima to really blow you away when the next or the last part of the song arrives, because he will be going bonkers with his singing skills, really flaunting that he is a really good singer. So let's return to this part. There's a sense of urgency going on. If you pay closer attention to the synth going on in the background, it almost sounds like an alarm playing, which can be wide variety of things depending on whether you're following the story or not. But for purposes of you're not following the story, it sounds like there's some danger, quite possibly something that is alarming to everyone, and that alarm or sort of synth melody that plays like an alarm is on the background to give you that sense of danger or urgency going on in this song. And you will now build up to the chorus, and please do pay attention to this section because this build up in the bridge to the chorus is mind-blowing. The guitars are going really loud here, and you are going to listen to the melodies being almost ripped from the guitar. It's really, really intense. And notice how I'm going to stop right before that part so that you guys can really know what I'm talking about when I say there's a legato with a crescendo, and now you're going to have a legato with crescendo and vibrato, because Junta Terashima is a good singer and he wants to showcase that. This is the part with legato and crescendo, and he's going to do that 3 times. I know that he's already done once, so you're going to listen to it twice, but do pay attention. He's going to prolong that note, and then it rises and drop and repeats itself again. That's not easy to do, especially with rock music in which you need to be sometimes really raw and really intense. Those kinds of melodic sections on the vocal end might be a bit tricky to pull off, especially in the song like this, but Junta Terashima really does it flawlessly. It's quite impressive how he does this, and it sounds so natural. And the vibrato in that ending of the note, that's he's a really good singer. I don't know how people don't pay more attention to him, because he's a really good singer. You've heard it right now. those aren't things that many voice actors can do. Perhaps a couple can do, but not many can do, and he does it so easily. This is rock music is not easy to sing. Most people have the wrong idea that rock music is only shouting and screaming. It's not. Sometimes or most of the times is more technical than pop music or even R&B. And in this case that you have a rock sound that has a lot of post-rock and post-punk influences, you need to be technical. This performance needs to be technical, and Junta Terashima delivers that without an itch. It really is a bit sad how people do not pay much attention to Esmeralda, the band, Enlight Tribe, the franchise, or even Junta Terashima as a singer. Even within Growth, not many people actually pay attention to him. Once again, is the reason why that group sounds so good. It's not really the impressive high notes, it's really the impressive core bass sound that the group has that makes them so robust. But still people will, of course, will be swayed by the high notes and will forget that those high notes really need a contrast, and that contrast, if the contrast was not there to begin with, they would not sound really well. So once again, he's really underappreciated, and thankfully he has a spot to shine solo, not only in his solo career, of course, but here in Enlight Tribe, because this song was arranged in a way or mixed in a way that, contrary to the other songs in the franchise, that especially in the second CDs, in which the franchise brought in the other members of each band to sing, this was the band that had the best balance between having the members brought in to sing, in this case to support as backing vocals, and the frontman to lead the way. The other groups, for example, Femme had everyone singing at the same time. It didn't sound well, especially in the chorus, and they are a punk rock band. Shifties had a really funky element going on in there. Their dynamic is good, but they were sharing half the lines between them, so you stopped having one frontman to having both being the frontman. And here you still have the frontman and you have the three backing vocals, and they do an excellent job at highlighting him. They do an excellent job at making the song sound even more intense and powerful, but you still have Junta Terashima taking the spotlight, and he fully deserves it because he's by far one of the best singers in this franchise and easily one of the most underrated singers among male seiyuu. That's the stuff. This was Esmeralda with Radiance, song released in their latest CD. It's available for free on Spotify, so guys, if you want to check it and listen to it without me speaking on top of it or pausing every second to mention something, you have that in the description, so do check the song away because this is really impressive. Even the first song, El Dorado, is really good, so you have two great songs there. Of course, we're here talking about Radiance. This song really showed that this band is really one to follow. Their first CD already had Gleam, that was a song that took a lot of inspiration from Visual Kei Rock. It was really an instant favorite of mine. But then when Radiance started playing, I knew, well, this is the song for me. This is their best song to date. This is a sound that I love. This is a sound that you don't find really commonly among rock projects, really. 2D rock music projects do not bet that much on post-rock or post-punk. It suits them well. Junta Terashima is a fantastic singer. You heard him. There's no doubts, I guess, so far, that he is a really good singer. He's so talented. I wanted more people actually to stop and pay attention to what he is doing because he's so talented. The music he performs is so good. He's performing with Growth at a high level. Without him, Growth wouldn't sound as good. Once again, they need that anchor, that power. Here, with Esmeralda, the group without him, if you had put any other member within the group on vocals, you wouldn't have this type of emotion going on. He's really, really technical. He's a really, really good singer. Really underrated, which is a pity, once again. Still, I hope you guys enjoyed these analyses because Esmeralda is a fantastic band, one of the best rock bands out there. I would put them at the same level as Erosion in the Carnelian Blood franchise and Ruby Leopard in the Dig Rock franchise. Those are my favorite rock bands within 2D music. They are also, well, I need to add something. I do also like Phantom Iris and Gyroaxia, but they are on a different tone. If we are talking about pure rock bands, they are on the same level as Ruby Leopard and Erosion. And this is a really good sign for me because as a fan of rock music, I want more bands to sound good and actually make other people interested in the music genre because rock music can be good, rock music is good. There's of course many things that you would deem bad, like you have of course in pop, R&B, hip hop, any other music genre, there's good and bad. But if you pay closer attention, especially to a project that is as niche as Enlight Tribe, because it is all about rock music, nothing else, and it's from Muvik, but this sounds like a project that has a lower budget, so they do not have that much promotion as, like, for example, the Skip Row franchise has. They are almost on the same level of promotions as Hanadol. Still, I welcome you to check the band, check the song, the link is in the description, and maybe fall in love with this project that is so good. I do have a couple of reviews of the very first CDs and even the second CDs released in this franchise. This franchise was announced in 2020, but only started to release music in 2021, so you only have 2 CDs per band. I have all those reviews available on the website, so it's handthatfeedshq.com, and you can go there and check the reviews and see for yourself if you actually like this type of rock music from a project that not many people know about. It's underrated, but it's of a high quality and really worth your time. Esmeralda's Radiance is a fantastic song, and Junta Terashima is really the real deal for a frontman. He does have that vibe, he does have that power. His skill set is off the charts, and he's actually going to the point that he's flaunting his singing skills within a song that was already pretty tricky to perform. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was my analysis of Esmeralda's Radiance, a song suggested by V. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next entry. Thank you.